Are you ready to get your fix?
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this, yesterday was pretty beautiful, but gloomy, but still glorious day here on Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that be on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the like, hit the share, would be much appreciated. As well, if you're on YouTube, hey, hit the subscribe, move those subscribers up a little bit. That'd be much appreciated as well. So the life of being a host has been pretty hectic. A lot of news has been happening, new faces and new places. That is what we've always been talking about, or have been talking about the past 2 weeks. Multiple teams have made moves, trades, releasing, and today it kind of has slowed down. But that doesn't mean it's over. Many other free agents still roam the streets, if you will, looking for their new home. A lot of wide receivers: Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. Baker Mayfield, I believe, still needs to get traded, even though I believe he was released. Jimmy Garoppolo still needs to be traded. Maybe. Are the 49ers going to stick with Jimmy? Who knows? We'll see on that front. We'll see what happens on that front, because he does have did get shoulder surgery just the other week. And it is said that he is not going to be able to perform or not be able to be 100% until about midway through training camp or something like that. I can't really remember off the top of my head what it was, but I know he won't be ready for OTAs and all this other nonsense that's happening. Training camp, he might start revamping his workout, making it a little tougher on him, and really going 100% instead of 50% or 75%, like we seen with Dak Prescott on Hard Knocks when he was in training camp. He had that shoulder injury early on. It has been affecting him for 2 years now. I said it was going to be a problem, and it's always going to be a problem in his career, because if you have shoulder injuries, I think it's a lot like knee injuries, right? Where it doesn't, you can make it better. You can get it better. You can go get surgery on it, and it helps a lot. But eventually it's going to give out. Eventually it's just going to affect you in the long term. And I think that's what's going to happen with Dak. Who knows on the Jimmy G front. But the Carolina Panthers are out on a certain person. We'll dive into that just briefly here in a moment. The Cowboys are making some moves, or have made some moves today, too, to be exact, maybe more. But as of right now, there are 2 major names that they have kind of re-signed and brought back into their organization in a big way. The Browns, how they just traded for Deshaun Watson, and how it was said to be 3 first-round picks and a third round and a fifth round or something like that. The details on that trade have been changed a little bit. Instead of 5 draft picks, the Browns are actually trading away 6 draft picks, and one of the picks actually is kind of, I think it went so the Browns get, instead of a 5th round, they're going to get a 6th round pick from the Houston Texans. We'll dive into that a little bit, just briefly, to kind of give you guys the rundown of what the details are on the Deshaun Watson trade. The Buccaneers bring back a massive piece, like they have already. They brought back Tom Brady, they brought back Chris Godwin, and others alike. So we'll dive into that. And the Minnesota Vikings, hey, it's a good day to be a Minnesota Vikings fan, I'll tell you that right now, okay? We might potentially just have one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL, but only time will tell, only games will tell us if that is going to be a fact. So we'll dive into that. Other than that, pro days are happening. And now, if you guys don't know what pro days are, basically it's for college athletes who have the potential to play in the NFL whether that's this year, next year, or down the road, if they just continue, working out and keeping their regimen the same. Yesterday was Kenny Pickett's pro day. Today was Malik Willis's pro day. So that's Liberty University and Pittsburgh University, or the University of Pitt, or whatever it is. And there's going to be a lot more pro days happening down the road. So let's get right to it. Are you ready to get your fix? So I mentioned the Cowboys early on, and I said that, hey, they've made some moves. Not massive moves, but some good moves. And one of them being they locked up or re-signed safety J-Ron Curse to a 2-year, $10 million deal. I think he can make up to $12 million with incentives, so congratulations to J-Ron Curse, who was once a Minnesota Viking, then he was shipped out of town. I think he bounced around, he went to Cincinnati, and I think he ended up on the Dallas Cowboys. I can't really remember off the top of my head how that whole situation went down, but he is a Dallas Cowboy. He was a Dallas Cowboy last year, and he will continue to be a Dallas Cowboy for the next 2 years. And if here's one thing you need to know about Jerry Jones, it's that he's going to find a way to pay the players he thinks and he believes that is going to take the Cowboys to the top, to win a Super Bowl. That is what he is going to do, even though I consider them the entertainment team, because that is what they are, okay? If they're not making enough moves, which they haven't really made any news, they once offered Randy Gregory a massive, massive contract. He said, all right, I'll sign that, and then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, or a couple minutes later, like a half hour later, he's like, nope, that contract is all fugazi. I'm going to Denver on the exact same deal. So then the Cowboys were kind of out of the mix. What is going to happen? What are the Cowboys going to do? Who are they going to bring in? Are they going to strictly stay with the draft prospects that they end up getting? Or are they going to try to turn the wheel and get some of these free agents, okay, that are out on the market? They lock up Michael Gallup on a 5-year, $60 million contract, I believe it was, or something ridiculous. So he stays a Dallas Cowboy. And John brought up the fact that, hey, if they draft, whoever they draft, that is who they're going to sign first. Amari Cooper gets shipped out of town. So they were making some news because they're entertainment, right? Well, they're back in the news after signing J-Ron Curse to a 2-year, $10 million deal. So what does this mean exactly? Well, not a whole lot. But J-Ron Curse, I think he's a very, very good safety. Has the potential to be a great safety. He's young. He's ready to rock and roll. He's poised to make a run for the Dallas Cowboys. He's only 28 years old. He's coming off one of the best seasons of his career at this point. He had 101 total tackles. That's combined and solo tackles. 101 of those. He had 9 tackles for losses, 2 interceptions, and he broke up 10 passing attempts for the Dallas Cowboys last year. So they lock up a massive piece of their defense to pair with obviously Xavier Rhodes and others alike. DeMarcus Lawrence ends up getting a contract extension there as well for the Dallas Cowboys. So they got a good defense over there. Trevon Diggs, I mean, we know what he was capable of doing, or what he did last season was just phenomenal. Micah Parsons is going to be he's going to be a menace in the league. Look to Micah Parsons to be one of the great pass rushers, linebackers in the NFL for quite some time. I think he's a dog, and I think he's ready to rock and roll. They got DeMarcus Lawrence, and now they lock up J-Ron Curse. Other than locking up J-Ron Curse, they lock up another person. They re-signed Leighton Vander Esch, their linebacker who's played there for a couple of years. He's okay. He's not the greatest, but he's a good leader. I think he knows that defense really inside and out, so he knows what to do when the time comes to it. But they signed him to a 1-year, $2 million deal, okay, with guaranteed money of $1.75 million. So that right off the bat tells me they're not sold on Leighton. Okay, they don't think Leighton Vander Esch, or I can't remember. I don't know how to say his fucking Esch name. I think Leighton Vander Esch, I think you have to look at him as one of those players that the Dallas Cowboys were kind of like, well, all right, buddy, let's give her one more time. Let's see what you got. Okay, this is a contract year for you. You got to go out there, you got to perform at the best of your ability and hopefully make some plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones decides to stick with you, decides to give you a contract extension. I believe Leighton is actually a guy they drafted, so I'm assuming hey, being Jerry Jones, he likes to pay his players. He'll probably pay Leighton depending on what their salary situation, their salary cap situation looks like next year, depending on how big of a run they make next year. Maybe they'll go make a splash move, maybe a splash trade in the offseason or the regular season. Who knows what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do other than being an entertainment team, not America's team, because I think we've all moved past the fact that they're not America's team anymore. And for those of you that are still stuck on that, get over yourself, okay? You might be a Dallas Cowboys fan, but at the same time, what have they done in the past 25 years? Nothing, okay? They're always in the news. They're always making moves. I mean, they're telling you, oh, we're going to go win a Super Bowl. This is our year. You look great on paper, but your record says otherwise. No Super Bowl rings in how many years? 25 or something ridiculous. Troy Aikman is actually now calling games in the booth for ESPN, okay, because he made that move from Fox. And he's watching a very poor Cowboys team trying to get back to which was once greatness. Now, middle of the pack kind of greatness. I mean, it's not the great thing. It's not the greatest thing of football or to watch at all. So Dallas Cowboys have made a couple moves. But I think the Browns might have made one of the biggest moves this offseason. Other than, obviously, the Seattle Seahawks trading Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos and then hours later releasing linebacker Bobby Wagner. I think the Browns made a massive, massive decision when they were once told, hey, you're out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Sorry about it. It's now the Falcons and the Saints. And I think that kind of made the Browns tuck their tail and realize, oh, shit. Let's put an offer on the table right fucking now, okay? $230 million, fully guaranteed, 5 years. How about that? Huh? I mean, come on. So then that obviously made Deshaun Watson waive his no-trade clause, which a no-trade clause basically means that which team he wants to go to. And when he does make that decision, he can waive that no-trade clause. Houston can trade him, in which they did because he waived his no-trade clause for the Cleveland Browns. And there was a whole bunch of draft picks that were sent Houston's way. 3 first-rounders to be exact. The first time that 3 first-round draft picks have been sent to another team for a player since Herschel Walker joined the Minnesota Vikings from the Dallas Cowboys years ago. And how'd that work out for us? Not so great, okay? But I think this is a whole different situation. Deshaun Watson, a year removed from football, is ready to get back on the field, ready to win a Super Bowl whenever that time comes. I don't know if it's going to be soon, but he's in the AFC, and that AFC division is stacked. But the details on that trade have changed just a little bit. The compensation on that blockbuster change has just been, tweaked, just very minor. So the Houston Texans are going to trade, or they have traded the Cleveland Browns Deshaun Watson, and they also traded them a 6th-round draft pick in the 2024 draft. What did the Cleveland Browns trade to the Houston Texans? Well, the Cleveland Browns trade a 1st-round draft pick in this year's draft, which is overall number 13, the 13th overall pick in the 1st round. They also trade him this year's 4th-round draft pick, which is 107th overall. And they got that one from Detroit, so thanks Detroit on that one probably. They also trade him a 1st-rounder in the 2023 draft, as well as a 3rd round in 2023 as well. And then they also trade him a 1st-round draft pick in the 2024 draft, as well as a 4th-round draft pick to go with it. So 6 draft picks from the Cleveland Browns. See ya fucking later. The Houston Texans now own them. The Cleveland Browns only get 1 back, and that's a 6th rounder in the 2024 draft. And hey, they get Deshaun Watson, so that's a massive upgrade. Just like the Rams said, okay, after they won the Super Bowl, fuck them picks. We don't need those picks. We want Matthew Stafford. Let's get him in the building, okay? Let's have an instant turnaround. Let's build this fan base as big as possible. We just built this fucking glorious, gorgeous stadium, SoFi Stadium that is, and then, hey, the rest is history, okay? The Rams won the fucking Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals, who would have never thought they were actually going to be there, but the Rams did so. So this is good on Cleveland. I really do like this. But what does this mean for Baker Mayfield? I'm pretty sure he's been released, but at the same time, I don't think that's 100% true. I think he's still under contract from the Cleveland Browns. So what that means is he's going to have to be traded because the Cleveland Browns, shortly after getting Deshaun Watson, signed quarterback Jacoby Brissett, who started for the Indianapolis Colts not too long ago. He had to start some games, but he was in the same quarterback room as Tom Brady with the New England Patriots before he went to Indianapolis. And now, after Indianapolis, he went down to Miami to kind of be a backup over there for Tua after Fitzmagic left the building. And now he's on his way to Cleveland. And he might be a starter there, depending on if there any suspensions come on the whole Deshaun Watson situation. We're unsure of anything that's kind of happening with that. Just know if he has done it, if he does get suspended, it is what it is. Okay, he's a scumbag at that point if those come out. But all the criminal cases or all the criminal charges, they went to the grand jury. Everything was dropped. We know that whole situation. Sorry about it. All right, embrace Deshaun Watson because I think he gives you the best chance to make a run at the Super Bowl. But Baker Mayfield had a couple opportunities, or I guess, yeah, he had a couple opportunities. The first one being Indianapolis Colts. That's one place that he was reported to say, yeah, that's the place I would like to go. I like their roster. I like what they got built there. They might need a wide receiver, but at the same time, their defense is fucking stacked. They're ready to rock and roll. They were one win away from making the playoffs last year. I'd like to go to Indy. Well, that door fucking slammed shut. Matt Ryan ends up getting traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a third-round draft pick, so congrats to Matt Ryan. That whole situation is going to look very, very different. I think that situation is going to look a lot like Phillip Rivers when he was a Indianapolis Colts quarterback and when he got traded there. So good on them. So then the door closed on the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, so that leaves a couple more options. They've got the Atlanta Falcons. That door closed real quick after Deshaun Watson decides to go to Cleveland. The Atlanta Falcons end up signing Marcus Mariota to a couple-year deal, basically a one-year deal, but it's a two-year deal to kind of move the money out a little bit to save some room on the cap space. So that door was closed. The next one was open, and that was the New Orleans Saints. And well, that door closed as well because they re-signed Jameis Winston to a couple-year contract. Okay, so they're bringing back Jameis Winston, who tore his ACL on Halloween last year, led him to a 5-3 record prior to that happening, and was looking pretty solid. So they're going to continue to roll with Jameis Winston as their quarterback, who gets to throw to fucking Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara in the backfield, and others as well. So that door closed. And from what I'm hearing, another door has closed as well. That door leads to the Carolina Panthers. Reports are coming out saying that the Panthers want nothing to do with Baker Mayfield. That was per Bleacher Report Gridiron, so their Bleacher Report's football account, and others alike, or other reporters as well. They say that the Carolina Panthers don't want Baker Mayfield to come into their organization. That sucks, because where else is he going to go now? I said yesterday, I have a very, very good feeling that Baker Mayfield will not get a starting job in the NFL this season. And I think the only way he gets a starting job is if somebody trades for him midway through the season to kind of bring him in because their quarterback's just sucking dick. And that could be the Seattle Seahawks with Drew Lock, who got benched for Teddy Bridgewater when he was in Denver. But the Seattle Seahawks, from what the reports have come out and say, they're saying, hey, we've loved Drew Lock since he was in the draft. We just didn't take him. Okay? He didn't fall to us. But we've loved him since the draft. He's our guy. He's the guy we want leading this franchise, this rebuilding franchise. They say it's not rebuilding, but it is. Okay? So, what's going to go on with Baker Mayfield? If I had to guess, he's going to sit in free agency and bitch and moan because he's not one of the 32 starters in the NFL. Now, should he be a starter in the NFL? Probably. I think me and John kind of went through it. I said, he's not a top 15 quarterback. And kind of went through the whole list of all the quarterbacks or all the starting quarterbacks, and about half of the starting quarterbacks are better than Baker Mayfield, so we're right around that ballpark. But an interesting kind of name popped up as I was taking a gander at the Pat McAfee show. What about the Pittsburgh Steelers? I think that would be a pretty solid fit if he ended up in Pittsburgh. Yes, they just signed Mitchell Trubisky to, I believe, a 2-year deal. But are we sure that Mitchell Trubisky is a franchise quarterback, especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Okay, they just had Big Ben. They've had Terry Bradshaw. When they find a quarterback, they don't miss. And Baker could be that next guy. I think that would be a very, very fun fit. He kind of brings that energy there. If you were to go there, him and Mitch would probably have a quarterback battle, even though I think Baker would probably beat Mitch in a quarterback battle. But I think Pittsburgh is one of those locations you can kind of keep your eye on, which also tells me that Baker won't be on a team until after the draft. Because from what I seen, these pro days today and yesterday, got Mike Tomlin and their GM just smiling away, just ready to rock and roll at Malik Willis out of Liberty University. So we've had a couple pro days take place. Obviously, we talked about Kenny Pickett, in which his hand size has increased, which was once said to be an 8.5-inch hand size, which is small. Okay, I guess in NFL history, any quarterback that has had under a 9-inch hand has never had success, has never had longevity, and basically that's due to the fact that, yeah, he can throw the ball, he can spin the rock, okay, he can do all that. But when you got somebody like Aaron Donald or Chandler Jones or Joey Bosa or TJ Watt coming off the edge and running around to your backside, as soon as they hit your arm, you know, can you fucking hang on to the ball? Does that ball stay in your hand, or does it come out of your hand? That's the real question. But his hand size has increased. Not a lot. Okay? Actually an 1/8 of an inch to be exact. So I don't know how you want to take that besides, okay, who gives a shit? So he has a technically 8 5/8 inch hands. Okay, so he's got the small ones. He's got a small hand. I don't think it's going to totally affect him, especially if he's such a highly regarded quarterback in the college game coming into the draft. I don't believe he's going to be the first one taken off the board because of that reason. I think that sucks. I don't think that should be the case, but you have to look at the little things compared to the big things. The big picture, okay, obviously means a lot, but I think in reality, when you're living day to day, minute to minute, second to second, you have to look at what are all the possibilities that could happen with that small hand. Not saying it's small, okay? I'm just saying in the NFL words or in NFL terms or in the NFL world, that's a small hand for a quarterback. But Malik fucking Willis put on an absolute show today. Multiple bombs. I mean, he was dropping them right. Wish I had more space. Right in the pocket. I mean, it was just. Whoop. I mean, it was beautiful, beautiful throws. And then he had one drill where he dropped back to pass. He started going one way, and a coach kind of fake rushed him. So he spun around, went over to the other side, and threw it on the run. A 68, 70-yard bomb, 65-yard bomb, whatever it was. And it was just right in the receiver's breadbasket. Okay, Malik Willis actually put on an amazing showcase today at his pro day. And I think that only boosted his draft stock. Hopefully he doesn't go to the Lions, okay? I think the Lions are still, I mean, they might have to roll Jared Goff. But the Lions are kind of one of those teams where you can't expect a fucking Joe Burrow to come in there and just flip your franchise around. You can't. It can happen, but you just can't expect it. So I hope Malik Willis gets a chance elsewhere. I think Pittsburgh would be a very, very fun fit to see him go there and kind of ball out and rebuild, which, I mean, not really rebuild, but like rejuvenate what just left Big Ben, obviously. So rock and roll for Big Ben over there. But Malik Willis actually put on a showcase. Expect him to go higher than all the other quarterbacks in this draft. And we're still waiting on, obviously, to see Sam Howell, who's the quarterback of the North Carolina Tar Heels. His pro day is coming up, as well as Desmond Ritter's pro day and Matt Corral's pro day, which I believe is probably tomorrow, if I had to guess. I think I heard that right earlier today. So the pro days, I mean, they're interesting because you kind of get a chance to showcase your skills as a player in there. But these scouts actually get a good opportunity to see what you're like when you're around your buddies, around your teammates, how you perform, your leadership, and all these small little things that could potentially help out their organization, build their culture in the way they want to build it. And I think Malik Willis is going to be a great fit wherever he goes, and hopefully it's a good organization, a highly highly stouted organization, whatever you want to say. But I think Malik Willis is a dog. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft up to this point. And from what I've seen, I think he's the guy that is going to be taken first overall. So enough on the pro days. We got some more signings around the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have brought back literally everybody. They only had or retained, I think, 7 or 8 starters from last year's season at the end of this, or at the start of this offseason. The rest of them were free agents or retired. So what do? Well, first off, they re-signed Chris Godwin to a massive extension. Glad they did that. Now they lock up Mike Evans and Chris Godwin over there as at the wide receiver position. They also lock up, well, not O.J. Howard. Who's their tight end? Well, it's Rob Gronkowski. He's coming back. No doubt about it. But then after they signed Chris Godwin to a massive extension, this motherfucker, okay, Tom fucking Brady, comes out of retirement. That's what I'm talking about. He did this for me, only me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to see this dude in Tampa, okay, most likely against the Green Bay Packers, so that'll be fun to watch. I cannot wait for it. He comes out of retirement. He starts making all these phone calls. Hey, you want to come back? Hey, you want to come back? Hey, you should come back. I mean, we're going to have a team. We're going to make a Super Bowl run. Hey, you want to come back? 8 rings sounds pretty nice, huh? For you, probably 1 or 2, but we should probably make this happen, huh? All right, so they kind of do this whole thing. Well, they end up signing, what's his fucking name? One of his longtime buddies that was a New England Patriot when Tom was a Patriot as well. But the big question mark was their running back position. Who is going to be the Tampa Bay's running back? Ronald Jones isn't in the building no more. He's a free agent. Leonard Fournette isn't in the building anymore. He's a free agent. Not anymore. Leonard Fournette, after visiting the Patriots just yesterday, realized, well, this fucking stinks. This is boot camp. I did not go to MEPS. I did not sign my life away. No, I'm going back to Tampa. I want to go be playoff Lenny again. I want to win a ring under Tom Brady, unless my Minnesota Vikings decide to go on a fucking run, which we'll talk about that in a second. But Leonard Fournette decides to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He gets a 3-year, $21 million deal, which is up, or he can earn up to $24 million with incentives. I'm pumped about it. I think this is their guy. This has to be their guy. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are back, baby. And I only say that, I only sound excited about that because I'm strictly a Tom Brady fan. And wherever he goes, I go, okay? That is where I'm headed. I'm a Tom Brady fan, whether you like it or not. And this just in, the Carolina Panthers, who were once said to trade Christian McCaffrey, they want to take offers for him, have decided against that. The Carolina Panthers did a simple restructure on running back Christian McCaffrey's contract. Okay, they paid him an arm and a leg a couple of years ago or last year, whatever the case was. Then he gets hurt. He's just been injury-riddled ever since. And this clears about $5 million or $5.5 million in cap space. So good on the Carolina Panthers for keeping Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully he stays healthy. And if he does, man, that would be a story over there. Bring over Jimmy G. Don't need to do any much. Don't need to do too much. Okay, that shoulder surgery. Yeah, I understand. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but just hand the ball off, okay? That's what he did to San Francisco. Just fucking, just hand the ball off. That's what he needs to do, and I think they'll be just fine. But who knows what they're going to end up rolling with. It could be Jimmy G. It could be Andy Dalton. It could be Cam Newton. It could be Tyrod Taylor. It could be a whole list of quarterbacks that are still available on the market. With that being said, it's time to talk about my Minnesota Vikings. Haven't done shit this offseason. We typically don't, okay? We never go make splash moves, ever. Usually because we're always kind of, we're kind of tight with the cap space, always, okay? We never have a buttload of cap space, and we're never too far above or over the cap space. We're kind of right in that middle area. Like, we have some, but not enough to sign these massive deals, or we have too much, or we got to restructure. Which this year we had to restructure. Okay, we restructured Adam Thielen's contract, Kirk Cousins' contract, and Danielle Hunter's contract, and others as well. You know why we did all that? Well, because the last 2 years our defense has absolutely fucking sucked. Okay, we stunk. And it's just plain and simple. It's how it goes. Last year our offense started clicking, started doing some good things, but our defense just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't stop other teams from scoring the fucking football. So you know what we do? We bring in Zadarius Smith, former Packer, okay? All-pro pass rusher, Zadarius Smith, to a visit. And it was reported that if it all went well, if it was a good visit, he was going to sign with the Minnesota Vikings, and that is the case. He just signed a 3-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings with a base value of $42 million, can earn up to $47 million. So he earned about $14 million a year. And the reason why we were able to sign him is strictly because of Danielle Hunter. The Minnesota Vikings converted Danielle Hunter's $18 million roster bonus into a signing bonus, which actually created about $13.5 million in cap space in order for us to land Zadarius Smith. I'm so pumped about it. He did not play all last year, but when he is on the football field, he's a menace to society. Me and John were trying to compare him last night of who he was kind of plays like. He reminds me of a Chandler Jones, plain and simple. He also reminds me of a fucking Clay Matthews, a guy that's just ready to rock and roll. The energy's there. I mean, he's just electrifying to watch. He's going to put pressure on the quarterback. He's going to get sacks. He's going to create chaos, basically, for the offense. And I'm pumped about it. I'm excited about it. I cannot wait. Hopefully he stays healthy. Him and Danielle Hunter on both sides, that would be electric. Now, okay, let's go fucking sign Pat P to a 1-year fucking contract extension. Or a contract, and then let's go try to bring in the Honey Badger, okay? Let's bring in Tyrann Mathieu to the Minnesota Vikings, him and Harrison Smith, and then we got Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter, then we got Pat P at one corner. We probably are going to stick with fucking Cam Dantzler on the other side, so that'll be interesting to watch, but hey, whatever. Our linebackers, okay? Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Nick Vigil, he's out of the building. He just signed with the Arizona Cardinals, but we got Jordan fucking Hicks from the Cardinals, so I'm pumped about it. Our defense is looking pretty fucking solid. Oh, and by the way, we signed defensive tackle Harrison Phillips, and then we also have Dalvin Tomlinson as the defensive tackle. So, hey, we're looking pretty solid. We look pretty solid. On paper, obviously. As of right now, we'll see what happens in the regular season because our offense is loaded. Kirk Cousins, our quarterback, we locked up for another year. Whatever. That was to move cap space so we could land Zadarius Smith. But we got Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith Jr., who's going to be coming off that injury that he suffered last year. Can't remember if it was ACL or Achilles. I'm pretty sure it was ACL injury. So he'll be our tight end. Our offensive line is the youngest in the NFL with the average age of 23, or that was last year, probably the average age of 24 now. It's time for a ring, baby. It's time for a ring. Let's bring in Tyrann Mathieu. Let's bring back Patrick Peterson. It's all about winning now. And you win a Super Bowl in March when you make all these moves. April comes the draft. Who knows what we'll take there? Maybe we'll get Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I think that would be fucking awesome. Cincinnati Bearcat corner who never let up a touchdown his entire college career, so that'd be cool. Or Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. He's been a fucking beast over there. I cannot wait to see what our season's going to start looking like because, hey, we're making some moves. Not massive moves, but some good moves. This Zadarius Smith is a massive news, and I am excited about it. It's electrifying. Now it's going to be interesting to see if we actually do potentially have the best pass rushing duo in the NFL. I mean, that's a very real possibility. Who knows if that's going to be the case, but I'm ready for it, and I hope you guys are as well. That is all I have for you guys today, as not much news has been popping off because we're out of that period where you have to get below the cap space, which is set at $208 million by the NFL. So it's kind of slowing down, but more moves are definitely going to be made within the coming days. So have a great rest of your day, even though it's kind of rainy out or wherever you guys are. Hopefully it's nice out. You can do whatever you want. To the people that living in the Tornado Alley, T's and P's to you guys. I know it's a difficult time right now, especially for the people who've probably lost their houses, which would suck. So T's and P's to those guys. But have a great rest of your day. We'll be back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. Like always, hopefully the more moves have been made, which I'd assume will be the case. So have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces, folks.